Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday and we are back on the Zooms with Kristen Laise. She, you may remember, is the executive director at Belle Grove. Ton of things happening this season. I was joking with you just a second ago, Kristen, that you opened for the season in March and really hit the ground running.
We sure did. We had a wonderful opening weekend. We've dedicated 2 memorial quilts to the people that were enslaved at Belle Grove. We have the names of those individuals and the day they were born. And in some cases, we even know the name of their mother. These were written as business records, very sadly. But in today's world, it's a wonderful opportunity to bring humanity to these individuals, to know their name, when they were born. And because we know the name of their mother, we can actually create family trees. So the memorial quilt has the name of each person, 270 of them, hand stitched with love, a quilt block with their information. And then we have arranged those quilt blocks in family trees. So the institution of slavery often separated families, but we're hoping this is one small symbolic way to reunite them. And then we had 113 volunteers. This was a big 3-year project that we just completed. So it was 113 folks who helped us stitch the names. That was a partnership we had with the Winchester chapter of the Embroiderers Guild of America. And then it went to a quilter in Ohio, an African-American quilter named Carol Gary Staples. And she was commissioned to design those quilts. And she did that with African batik fabrics. So each family has their own special fabric. And then they traveled back to Virginia, where a local quilt expert, Pam Pampy, helped us quilt them. So she constructed the quilts, and then we took them around to community events over the last year and a half, I believe. And we've gotten 250 people to at least take one stitch, if not a handful more stitches in the quilts. So it's really exciting to have over 300 volunteers in our community participate in this tribute. And they are installed on the lower level of the house. And you see that when you walk in. Beautiful, colorful, just a great talking point, a way to really bring people to life.
I really appreciate the care that goes into making them as historically accurate as possible. I had Nathan Stalvey on the show last week talking about some repairs that need to be done to the Burwell Morgan mill. And we were joking about how he can't just run to Solenberger's and find parts for that mill, that there has to be an actual mill person who creates these things from the same type of wood from when the mill was constructed and that sort of thing. And you do the very same thing, particularly with these quilts, in making sure that everything is as accurate and as original to the time period as humanly possible.
Exactly. And we really like the idea of doing that handwork, all that handwork. You can do beautiful quilts with a machine, but the handwork was the intention. It wasn't, if we wanted to just make quilts, we could have made them in a couple of months. The idea was this is to really involve the community in a tactile way, to really touch it. And then it was great because we have some research that we've been able to do, and I could really share some stories about an individual and their family was like and what we know about them. We really wish we knew a lot more, but we're lucky to know what we do. And we were really fortunate too. We're starting to make connections with descendants. We had some descendants of one of the families, a mother and daughter, who were able to help us unveil the quilt. And Athea Bell Burton is actually now a member of our board. So that's really exciting new direction we're going in.
The other thing that I love is the fact that it's a quilt. So we all have, from our childhoods, we all probably have a grandmother that made quilts for us. It has that feeling of history and family. So I love that you're using that as the mechanism to educate people on what wasn't always a wonderful time in the lives of those people that were enslaved at Belle Grove.
Yeah, exactly. When you see the quilts, I mean, we really wanted one quilt and there were just too many names to put on that. So just that impact of seeing the scale is also really sobering.
I also appreciate the fact that you've embraced there at Belle Grove your history in its entirety. You haven't tried to gloss over any of the pieces of Belle Grove's history. There were people who were enslaved at Belle Grove, and you want to make sure that people understand what their lives were like and that they were important people in the community and they contributed to our society. So I really appreciate that you try to do that across all of your programs at Belle Grove.
Yes, thanks for noticing that. Yeah, it's very important to our mission that we're representing all of the history here and that truly the success of the plantation, which translates into the fact that it even can be preserved today, is due to that labor. The building of the house that you see today, maintenance of the grounds, just the economics of how the family succeeded, it just really wouldn't have been possible. If you're interested in this history, we do a free monthly program. Our docent, Scott Turndrup, does a monthly program. It's usually the last Sunday of each month at 2:30. And there's two stories that he tells, and it alternates. So we've been telling for many years the story of Judah, who was one of the enslaved cooks, and we tell her story. The next one coming up will be Sunday, April 26th at 2:30. And then we alternate. So the next month we'll have a program about Abba, who is a very interesting, complicated life. Next time we'll do that program will be Sunday, May 24th, the last Sunday of the month, again at 2:30, a free program. We have information about Abba's life, some information about Judah. We've written about 25 pieces, like short newsletters about the research we've been doing on the African American community at Belle Grove. And all of those can be found at virtual.bellegrove, which is all one word, .org.
I didn't know that you offered that virtually. So I think that is crazy cool because now anybody anywhere can learn and get an education.
Yeah, so we unfortunately have a pretty limited space to have exhibits. So this has been our way to publish a lot of our research. And also all of our online exhibits at that site have educational components. So a great resource for local teachers, homeschooling parents, and their educational suggestions are for all ages. So it's a great resource.
You're not just about exhibits either at Belle Grove. You have programs, you have classes, you have workshops, you have something coming up this weekend that people can come and actually participate in, not just look at.
Right, right. So we've got a wonderful group of volunteers that are interested in different aspects of nature. So that's a part of Belle Grove too. It's not just historic preservation. We have a beautiful natural site, and we're always interested in the local nature there. So we have a wonderful program coming up this Saturday, the 25th of April. That's going to start at 2:00. It'll be in the lower level of the house. There is a small charge, $15, but you can buy that ticket on our website. It's Apples in the American Landscape and Story. And it's a wonderful program. A local volunteer and docent and former master gardener Rebecca Anderson is doing all about the history of apples. It's perfect lead into apple blossom. And then there's an African American storyteller that will also be joining us to talk about apples in story. And we've got a little hard cider tasting as part of it, some apple desserts. So a nice relaxed way to spend Saturday afternoon. So that's 2 to 4:30 at Belle Grove. And you can look at our website, bellegrove.org, to buy those tickets. On Sunday, 1 to 4, we have another class, and this is how to make a birdhouse out of a gourd. So Nina Burke, who is a local gourd artist, is going to teach that class, and you'll get all the tools you need to walk out of there with a beautiful gourd birdhouse, and you can decorate it. And this is all part of a series of classes and workshops that we have throughout the year. In May, we've got a basket making class that you can take. Again, all the supplies included in that class. We're going to have one on goat soap, one in June where you can make a wreath for your 4th of July decor, patriotic wreath, and many more. All of those can be found on our website. It's a series we called Nature's Expressions.
I always joke with other museum directors and people that are having activities that revolve around history that it's great for kids because you sneak that education in while they're doing something fun, but it works just as well for us adults as well.
Yeah, and just a fun way to just come out and enjoy the property. I mean, maybe if you live locally, you only come to visit when there's an event or when you've got folks in town, but it's just such a beautiful place to be. We love just having people use and enjoy the property.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I know that you have a traveling exhibit that's coming to celebrate VA 250. Can you give me some details for that in the next segment?
I'd love to.
We're on the Zooms today with Kristen Laise. She is the executive director at Belle Grove Plantation. We're going to learn about more cool, fun things that are happening there in the coming months when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
This Saturday, Henry Mueller will change the world. He has no idea that's what he's going to do. He only knows that he went to justserve.org and signed up to spend time at a senior center Saturday morning. As he browsed through service opportunities in his own community, he remembered the words of Paul to the Galatians, "By love, serve one another." Little does Henry know that Saturday morning he'll end up speaking to one senior in particular who hasn't seen his family in several weeks and is feeling especially lonely. Henry doesn't know the short time he'll spend with this man will lift his spirits, cheer his heart, and make his life just a little better. Through love and service this Saturday, Henry Mueller will change the world. See the difference you can make. Sign up for service opportunities in your community. Visit justserve.org.
Welcome back to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday, and we are chatting with Kristen Laise from Belle Grove Plantation. We learned in the first segment about the quilt exhibit that you really must go by and take a look at, plus some classes and some workshops that they are doing this weekend as you're listening on the radio today. But Kristen, I saw a press release where you have a traveling exhibit that's coming. We've been hearing a lot about traveling exhibits in all sorts of places to celebrate the VA 250.
Yes, there are a number of things traveling the state to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And so Belle Grove has signed up to get this exhibit that has, I think it's come up to a Long Branch already. But if you missed it there, you have another chance to see it. It's called Give Me Liberty. And this is an exhibit at the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. You can see that in Richmond, the full exhibit. But this was an opportunity to travel around the Commonwealth to different sites. And it highlights Virginia's role in the American Revolution. So I thought that was a really interesting thing for us to have because Isaac Height, who was the owner of Belle Grove, he also served in the American Revolution.
So it really does come full circle. I joked
Yeah.
with you before we started recording that so many people that live in our area either were born here or have moved here don't always realize that we have history that is earlier than the Civil War.
Yes. Quite a lot. It's very fascinating to me. I mean, he was a young man. He had gone to William and Mary. He was at William and Mary when the war broke out. He actually served on a company, a college company. You can find his name on a plaque at William and Mary, recognizing that service of all those young men. And I just have to imagine how disruptive that would be to be a college student and have this revolution on your doorstep, and you don't know what life's going to be like. You don't know how long this is going to last. And it was a very long war until it was finally over. So he winds up leaving William and Mary and joining with the American side on the American Revolution. He served under Peter Muhlenberg, who was the famous German, they called him the German general from Woodstock, Virginia, and served under him as his aide de camp. Did some administrative tasks, may have gotten messages around, collected information to inform the officers. And that meant that he was with Peter Muhlenberg at the surrender at Yorktown, right there in the front line.
Super cool. Having this traveling exhibit come to Belle Grove lets you then also educate them on what happened to the people who owned that property.
Correct. But we think it was through his Revolutionary War service that he may have gotten to know the Madison family. So this is President James Madison's family. Some of her brothers were also in the American Revolution, and that's how he may have met his wife, Nellie. It was right after the war that they get married in 1783. And Nellie Madison moves out to the valley with Isaac Height, and they settle at Belle Grove.
What does the traveling exhibit look like? Like the Virginia Fine Arts Museum has done a traveling exhibit and been to our area several times, and it's a giant trailer and you can walk through it and you can
Mm-hmm.
see art. Is that what people can expect with this traveling exhibit? How will it work?
There are some traveling exhibits that are like a big truck or something that you can go in and look, and it's its own contained gallery. This is going to be in the manor house. So this comes to us kind of like banners that we'll put up. They're very colorful, there's a lot of information, maps. So you can walk around at your own pace reading those panels. And then we have added 2 panels of our own talking about the families that are local to Belle Grove and to Middletown and Strasburg who were involved in the American Revolution. So we talk about Isaac Height's service, but also his cousins, the Bowman brothers, John and Joseph and Isaac Bowman, and their Revolutionary War service as well.
And that makes it nice having it there as, I mean, I know it's traveling, but it's somewhat permanent, at least for the time that it's here.
Right. So it will open, we'll have it up and ready by April 28th. That's a Tuesday. And we're going to have it up until the 7th of June. So there's a big chance to come and see it. It is free of charge. And Belle Grove is open 10 to 4, Monday through Saturday, and Sundays 1 to 5. We do ask that you check in with us in the visitor center and our welcome center in the barn. If you're just interested in the exhibit and you're not taking a manor house tour, we'll make arrangements for you to go and see the exhibit, but you can also pair it with taking a tour of the house. It's a great opportunity to see those quilts that I mentioned in our first segment, or the archaeology exhibit if you haven't seen that. So that'll be all in the lower level of the house.
And I'll point out that if you're a member of Belle Grove, you get a deal on coming anytime you want, right?
Right. It's free of charge all throughout the year, unless we're having a special event. On Saturday, May the 9th, 10 to 4, we are going to have a special day of reduced admission. So $5 for everybody who's 12 and older. Young kiddos are free. That's a great time to come and visit. It'll be a self-guided day, so you can tour at your own pace, ask questions of the docents. They love getting into good conversation with people who are interested, get a chance to see the exhibit. And at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a talk by Ranger Christopher Mattingly. He's one of our park rangers at Cedar Creek and Belle Grove National Historical Park. He previously worked at Independence National Park, and so he's a wealth of knowledge on the American Revolution. And he will give a talk talking more about Isaac Height's Revolutionary War service at 1 o'clock. We're working on having some kids activities that day, colonial kids activities, and we're hoping our local DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution and Sons of the American Revolution, will have some folks in period dress be part of that day. So that's Saturday, May the 9th from 10 to 4.
That sounds like it's going to be a fun day, no matter how old or young you are.
Yeah, exactly. And just hoping for a good spring weather like we've been having, and come on out and just take your time and enjoy all we have to offer.
You mentioned a second ago for people that maybe have not ever come to Belle Grove unless it's for an event. The events that you host are pretty diverse in and of themselves. So we've talked about nature, we've talked about the traveling exhibit, VA 250, we've talked about the enslaved quarters and the things that you have there that people can look at in the quilts. And then you host Garden Fest with the Master Gardeners on the first Saturday in June. So it runs the gamut of what you're able to do there at Belle Grove.
Yeah, it's what we really love. And we love working with the Virginia Cooperative Extension and the Northern Shenandoah Valley Master Gardener Association on their Garden Fest, which is their largest fundraiser of the year. And it's Saturday, June 6th, save the date, from 8 to 2. It's a perfect time, I think, to just take advantage of their wonderful plant sale. Always just really affordable, good plants raised by master gardeners. They're there to answer any question you might have about them. They're going to do some great demos throughout the day. You can bring your garden tools to have them sharpened. They always have really fun kids activities and food trucks. So that's a day of free admission as well, so that you can save your dollars for some wonderful plants.
And they have a pretty amazing thrift store rummage sale area where you can pick up some really cool things for a little bit of nothing.
Yep, exactly. We call it the secondhand rose sale, and it's great. It's got some great things, sometimes really good tools and other garden implements.
And then you have a Descendants Day that you're hosting there as well at Belle Grove.
We are. This is our first time offering this new event, working with some wonderful people in our community to have a Descendants Day. And this is in honor of Juneteenth, which is coming up the weekend after. So Saturday, June 13th, we're going to start with a special memorial walk in Oranda, Virginia. And that's going to be at Walnut Springs Christian Church on Oranda Road. One of our wonderful community members, Marquina Mitchell, was in conversation with some folks and found out that in the Walnut Springs church history, now this congregation celebrating their 200th anniversary this year, that an enslaved man at Belle Grove named Benjamin Taney was given permission by Isaac Height to be baptized in that congregation. And it's pretty special to learn that kind of detailed information about somebody's life. We want to commemorate that. And we're working with the congregation there to have a memorial service. And then we're going to do a short walk. He would have walked from Belle Grove to Aranda, which in the day would have been about a 2-mile walk, but today is not possible because of the Carmeuse Quarry that goes between the two sites. But nonetheless, there is a bit of a walk that we're going to take. And then we'll be coming over back to Belle Grove about 11 o'clock, and they'll have activities there, food trucks, wonderful tables with information. You can talk to genealogists if you're interested in your family history, especially if you're African American. We're hoping to have some story time, some music. So we're confirming all the details right now, but do watch our website and save the date for June 13th.
That sounds like a great way for someone who has always been interested in their genealogy, particularly if they're African American and just thought nothing existed. You come to an event like this, sometimes you learn, oh, wait, you guys know about this, and then they can start that path that they didn't even think was available to them.
Yes, there's a wonderful genealogist we've been working with named Lisa Johnson, and she's a wealth of knowledge for Warren County, parts of Clark County, parts of Frederick County. She is so involved with her family genealogy, and she will have other folks too, but come meet Lisa because she's just a powerhouse of information.
All of these details for all of these events are on a calendar on your website. That's probably the best first place for people to go if something we've said today has sparked an interest.
Yes, bellegrove.org, bellegrove.org. And the calendar's on the right-hand side. It'll list the upcoming events, but in small print, you can click to see the full calendar, and we put all the information up there.
And then Belle Grove is open for the season, so people can come on a regular basis and wander through the manor house. They can go on the grounds. They can shop in the gift shop, which has an incredible selection of items.
Yes, that's right. So we're open 10 to 4, Monday through Saturday, and 1 to 5 on Sundays. If you want to tour the house, it is a guided paid tour, but the property is also available for walking. We also have some hiking trails. It's a great place to bring your dog and take a walk. You can do about 3 miles on the hiking trails starting at Belle Grove.
Wow, I didn't know they were that long. I'll have to tell Tim that maybe instead of walking the dogs around the neighborhood, he can put them in the car and bring them over there.
Yeah, so we connect up with our partner, Cedar Creek Battlefield Foundation, and they have a network of trails too. So our trail meets up with theirs, so you can keep going.
And then you also have social media. People can follow you on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
And is there a link on your website to the virtual talks that you mentioned earlier?
Yes, if you're on our website, you can see the visit tab, and the very first thing under the visit tab, it says virtually, and it's got a link to that website, to some online talks we've done. So if you're a YouTuber, you like to watch things, we've got a couple of videos up. There's a whole wealth of information just on that tab.
And then there's the all-important membership tab. So people can sign up to become a member or make a donation. You are a 501c3. Donations are always helpful.
Right. And you can also see our volunteer tab. So this all sounds interesting and fun to you, and you're wondering how you could get involved. We've got all sorts of activities, and we're always accepting new volunteers.
Kristen, thank you for giving me an update or a rundown of things that are happening over the next couple of months. I know you're going to be back again several times this year, but I appreciate you keeping me in the loop.
You're very, very welcome. Thanks for the opportunity. We look forward to seeing everybody.
I will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of The Valley Today, a few minutes after noon, so meet me here then.